Good evening, everybody. My name is Ken Fear, and super excited to be hosting this webinar. We're going to get started here in just a second. Let everybody join the webinar right now. Looking forward to going over some great information about what we do here at Symmetry and some of our great financial and retirement and debt elimination tools. So we're going to jump right into it. So I am going to share some slides as we go through this. So I'm going to pull this up right here. So first of all, quick introduction. My name is Ken Fear, and I'm hosting tonight's webinar. A little background about myself. So I've been married to Shelly, my wife, for 20 years now, and we have two beautiful girls, as you can see there in the picture. I just celebrated my 50th birthday this year. I can't believe I'm the big 50, but it's been a great journey so far for sure. And I truly love help educating people. I've built multiple businesses over the last 25 years. I've been a real estate investor. I've done a lot of different things. And really our objective here at Symmetry Financial Group is really to educate and empower you to take control of your financial future, right? So our mission is really to protect, grow, and secure your assets, right? So we're starting this webinar series. Our goal is to do this every couple of weeks, and we're going to bring different topics to the table. We're going to have guest speakers. We're going to talk about how to live a debt-free life, which is tonight's topic. We're going to talk about secure retirement planning. We're going to talk about insurance, tax saving strategies, investing in the market, real estate, and so much more, right? So there's a lot of information out there, and I think we're almost in information overload. So we really don't know what to do. A lot of us just rely on our maybe 401k, and hopefully Social Security will be there. But we want to basically empower everybody to make the right decisions for you and your family so you can have an amazing retirement. So quick disclaimer there, this webinar is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial, tax, or legal advice. Results vary and are not guaranteed. Certain strategies may involve insurance products. Product availability and features vary by carrier and state. Please consult your professional advisor regarding your specific situation. So let's kick it off. So first of all, quick introduction, who we are. I'm going to go over a little bit about our company, a little background, a little bit about our services. So this is going to be an overall picture of who Symmetry is and what the products and services that we offer here at our company. So we're a nationwide firm. We represent over 50 insurance companies around the country. We're proudly serving clients nationwide for over 15 years now. I've personally been with the company. I'm coming up on my 3-year anniversary with this company coming up here in December, so super excited for that. We have over 7,000 agents and growing every single day across the country. Plus, we have tons of financial professionals as well, which I'm going to talk about here in just a minute. And we have helped over 1 million families get protected with our products and services in the 15 years. We just hit our 1 million mark last year, which is pretty exciting. So I first want to hit on the financial crisis in America, right? So there's a lot of things going out there, and that guy's face on the screen really says it all, right? So America's debt is at an all-time high, right? 18.4 trillion and just growing every single day. If you haven't looked at our debt, I highly recommend go to usdebtclock.org. It's a live feed of exactly what's going on debt-wise. It'll blow your mind. So pretty crazy, and that's why we're going to talk about debt tonight. The impact on families, right? Most people are living paycheck to paycheck with little savings, money stress. Finances are the cause of major anxiety and are the leading cause of conflict and divorce in the families, right? And lack of financial education. And that's really what it comes down to is, we weren't taught this in school, right? So I have, like I mentioned, 2 amazing daughters, one's 12, one's 16. They're not learning anything about finances at all. So they got to learn that somewhere else, hopefully in the home. But if that goes from generation to generation, well, we're not learning how to do that. Most Americans were never taught how to manage money, how to eliminate debt, and how interest really works. So all those key things. And that's what our job is here, to just really kind of help people in those areas, right? So let's talk about the retirement crisis. Okay, so first of all, underfunded savings. Oh, there's a typo there. So I didn't have my wife look at the slides beforehand. So underfunded savings. So most Americans have under 100,000 saved for retirement. The shift to 401ks. So pensions have gradually disappeared, right? Leaving individuals to self-manage, right, their money, and many cash out early. I talk to clients every single day with all different assets, right? Some of them have, are just getting going and have, a few $1,000s to their name and just getting rolling in their 20s. And I talk to people that have over $10 million, right? And all across the board. But there's so many people out there, right, that are living and they're relying on the 401k is optional, right? Pensions were not optional. I look back at my grandfather who worked for GM for 35 plus years, had a pension that was almost matched his salary, and lived, his 25 years on that and really had no worries. There's actually study after study showing that people that have pensions live longer and happier during retirement, right? And we're going to talk about that in some of our other educational webinars here. But that's a big shift, right? So a lot of people are relying on that 401k. Hopefully Social Security is going to be there, which we know is not very much money, right? Working longer. More Americans are relying on or delaying retirement or returning to work after 65. I think in the last 10 years, it's grown by like 117%, I read recently, of people that are going back to work after the age 65. I know personally, and in our family, my mom and stepfather, they're in their mid 70s. They predominantly rely on Social Security. And my stepfather just had to go back to work at 75 years old. He's been off work for a few years, but they just can't make it, right? So this is a reality of so many people. And honestly, it's just going to get worse because, again, pensions are becoming farther and few between, right? So, and the last thing is rising costs, right? Inflation, healthcare expenses are outpacing fixed incomes, right? Fixed incomes like Social Securities and pensions, right? So that's really a huge, huge concern. So let's look at some historical data. So first of all, let's look at the last, since 1985 to 2025, right? So we're going to look at some about 45 years there and what the difference is. And check this out. So first of all, median household income, right? So you can see there, it's kind of grown at pretty much an even pace from 1985 there in blue to the year 2000 in green to 2025, which is recent, right? So then we jump over to median house price. I mean, look at that jump, right? So which all experienced that, especially in the last few years, huge jump. I don't even know how our kids are going to afford a house, right? So my wife and I are already planning and talking about, hey, how can we get something set up so that we can help them get into a house when they're ready for that in the next 5-10 years, right? So huge jump in the median house price. Next thing is average new car, right? So 10,000 in 1985, 21,000 in the year 2000, $48,000 in 2025. I mean, if you got a big family, you need an SUV, you can double that, right? So pretty crazy as far as that goes. Again, well outpacing income. College tuition, right? So college tuition, $1,300 back in 1985. Just unbelievable. Think how little that was back then, right? 3,500, and then it jumped up to 11,000 recently per year. This is per year for college. So again, minimum 50, 60, 70,000 for someone to go to college. I can't even count the people that I work with that have literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in school debt. And just think about how long that's going to take for them to pay that off, right? And it's just kind of normal to have that. Like society's just said, hey, this is normal to have this kind of debt. It's okay to take on that kind of debt, right? So next thing is average debt per adult. Again, go to usdebtclock.org and it'll show that. It's a ticker constantly running. That 110,667 is probably 111,000 now because I did this a couple days ago. So this really shows the picture here why so many people are struggling financially and working to the day we die, right? So pretty scary stuff. So what's the solution? Okay, so well, here at Symmetry Financial, we're a well-rounded company as far as we try to tackle a little bit of everything, right? So we start everything off with a financial wellness review. So this is going to be some kind of homework. If anything here sparks an interest or you feel like this could be a good fit for you, that's going to be number one. We start with this review. We go over your current financial situation. We look at your assets, your liabilities, your income, your debt, your retirement accounts, right? So that's step one. A lot of people are just trucking along thinking, again, that their 401k is going to be enough, which is proving over and over again that in a lot of cases it's not, right? Goal setting and strategy session. So next thing is we'll talk about, identify your short-term and long-term financial goals. Then we'll explore customized strategies to reach them. Third thing is personalized retirement blueprint. We'll put together a plan based on what you're trying to accomplish, right? So I think this is such a key thing, and you can see this in the bottom right there under the picture. Whatever you track improves, right? So obviously, having that in front of you and staying on, keeping it as top of mind, right? They call it TOMA, top of mind awareness. Helps you stay abreast of that, right? So you just want to make sure that you're on top of that, and we have some great tools to do that. And ongoing coaching and progress tracking. We provide continuous support and performance reviews to keep you on track. We know that life changes every couple of years. Most people's financial situations change one way or another, and we want to make sure that you stay on track. So tracking is the key thing, and really seeing a full picture of what your finances look like. So I'm going to go over our core solutions, what we provide here at Symmetry, and then we're going to dive into, like I said, our debt-free life program. I'm going to show you some examples of families I just helped recently. But really, again, it comes to having a well-rounded plan, and we'll go over that. So first of all, life insurance. So obviously, I always compare it to like building a house. Like when you build a house, I've built numerous houses over the years. We just moved into a house two months ago and just built the new house. It all starts with the foundation. The foundation of every plan is making sure you have the right life insurance in place. God forbid something happens to you. I had two friends of mine recently pass away in the last 6 months. We're all the same age. So again, 50, two of them passed away totally unexpected. One had life insurance and one did not. That's a drastically different situation in those two families right now, right? So super sad. So that's number one. Number two, debt-free life. Again, we're going to show you guys how to eliminate all of your debt in half, if sometimes a third of the time, right? Instead of 30 years down to 10 years, right? So which is such a great plan, because going into retirement with little to no debt just helps that retirement be so much more fun for sure, right? Tax-free retirement planning. So we're big on using tax strategies and tax favorable products like a max funded IUL, which we're going to talk about in one of the weeks as well, to save for retirement. Imagine going into retirement and most of your buckets of money that you're drawing from are non-taxable. That's a really good position to be in, right? So that's number three. Number four, Kids Smart Start, college savings, and wealth transfer, right? So we want to talk about that. We're going to show you some examples of how that works. Again, some solutions a lot of people don't know about, a lot different than like a 529 plan, also tax favorable. So we're going to go over that in one of our webinars. And then secure retirement planning, right? We use fixed index annuities. And really what an annuity is a pension, right? So if you think about it, there's two types of fixed incomes, right? We got Social Security, right? Which is basically like an annuity, right? So it's backed by FICA, which is insurance. And then we've got your pensions through the company that you work for, right? So if you're a fireman or police officer, something like that, you get to have that pension. And then the third type is a private pension plan, which means you can design your own pension plan. And we're going to show you in some of the webinars how that can be incredibly beneficial for you during retirement for retirement income. Because I always ask people, what's more important, your nest egg or your retirement income, right? If you have consistent income, again, going back to that stat, that people that have pensions live longer and happier because they know they have money coming in and they're not going to run out of money. That's a really good position to be in. So these are our core products here. Along with, we have a great team of, it's called Quality Financial Advisors. They offer the latest in tactical management as far as money management, right? So they use a proprietary algorithm to help with, just smooth out the downturns in the market, right? So again, there's two things we're looking at here, right? Which is obviously insurance-based products and the market, right? So why most advisors, and again, doing this day in and day out, seeing everybody, going over people's portfolios and talking to their advisors, why most advisors don't recommend insurance products. Number one, commissions, right? Which we'll talk about on another webinar, licensing and training limitations, right? And traditional advisors only focus on what's called AUM. AUM stands for assets under management, not protection or leverage, okay? So again, we believe in a holistic approach where it should be both, not either or, okay? And that's what's gonna show right here. So real wealth happens when you combine security and growth. Again, that's why we have a team of advisors that we loop in. Again, And there's no perfect formula, but again, it should be like 50-50 in most cases, depending on your age, which again, we'll kind of hit on some examples of that down the road as well. But really, it should be a holistic and not an either or, but both, right, plan. So you can see your insurance-backed strategies along with managed market accounts. All right, so let's dive into this. So this is pretty interesting. A lot of people don't realize that insurance companies are one of the best places to grow and protect your money, right? So most people know banks, and you know through banks you get a savings account with minimal returns, you get CDs with a little bit better returns, and it kind of ends there, right? So this is a track record over the last 100 years. The three most common places to invest outside of real estate, right? So I'm a big real estate fan. I own, numerous pieces of real estate. So, but we're going to talk about just the three core ones, which are your banks. In the last 100 years, there's been 37,000 banks that have gone out of business. Yes, your money's protected by insurance. Again, that word insurance, again, insurance companies up to $250,000. That's the FDIC. And why is that? Multiple crisis periods, the Great Depression, the 80s, 2008. There's numerous reasons like that. You've probably heard the term bank run, right? So I predominantly bank at Chase Bank. Well, if we all ran to Chase Bank right now to pull out our money, they don't have enough money on hand to pay everybody. That's how a bank could collapse, right? So because they're only required by law to keep 10 cents on the dollar on hand, right? So that means they don't have enough to pay everybody if they came for their money, right? So that's number one. So again, we use banks for what they're designed for, right? So paying your bills, your emergency fund, 6 to 12 months, use it for what they're designed for, right? Number two is publicly traded companies. Thousands have gone out of business over the last 100 years. There is no consumer protection. You invest in a publicly traded company, they go out of business. Obviously there's no protection there, right? But again, that's why you diversify and use teams like our team here with their proprietary algorithm to help with the risk management, right, side of it. And then the third thing is major insurance companies. And again, that's who we work with over 50 of the top insurance companies out there. There has been zero failures in the last 100 years. And this is very different. I get the question a lot. It's like, well, I heard that a lot of insurance companies are hurting. That's usually on the P&C side, right? Property and casualty. Yes, there's a lot of those companies struggling right now, right? So, but not in the life insurance side of things. So again, over 100 years, zero failures. Also, they are guaranteed by what's called the State Guarantee Association. So there's been no Fortune 500 life insurance companies that have failed in the last 100 years. So that means policyholders' money is protected, okay? So those are the three areas, and this is why, again, diversification. Use banks for what they're used for. Obviously have your money in the market. Make sure you're using a good team for that. And then add in that insurance piece, right? And, nearly every major bank and publicly traded company safeguards millions of dollars through insurance companies. So the big question is, right, why don't you, right? So many people are not exposed to this, and that's what our job is to, again, educate people. So as you can see there, GM, Starbucks, Disney, all these companies safeguard millions of dollars along with the banks, right? So these banks here is called BOLI, which stands for Bank-Owned Life Insurance. Some of these companies have tens of billions of dollars invested in life insurance companies because of the guarantees, the safety, tax benefits, all the stuff that we teach our clients. So again, why don't we take advantage of the same thing that these companies and these banks are doing for ourselves, right? So we're going to talk about tonight's topic, okay? So tonight's topic is all about infinite banking. So you might have heard that term before. You might be like, what the heck is that, right? So be your own bank. It's basically leveraging a specially designed insurance policy for banking purposes, right? So that's, again, what our topic is tonight. My goal is to keep these to about 30, 40 minutes only. I don't want to keep you away from your family. So, but we want to make sure you got some good information from it. So basically, it's a permanent life insurance policy to store, grow, and borrow against your own money, tax-free, with full control, okay? So these are a few key benefits. You get to use every dollar twice. Like, how does that work, right? So first of all, your money is being saved in the policy, but you get to borrow against the value to pay off debt or make major purchases, okay? I just recently did that. I bought a new SUV. I borrowed against my own insurance policy to pay that off. Instead of paying GM, the interest, right? I'm paying myself back, and I'm going to save about $20,000 in interest by doing that. So it's really good for ongoing major purchases, along with obviously paying off debt, which we're going to talk about. The second thing is tax-free growth and access. So again, those tax benefits, we try to leverage as many tax favorable products as possible. This is one of those, right? So there's no tax on loans or the death benefit. So there's multiple pieces to the pie here in this specially designed policy. Guaranteed growth. So the companies we use, on average, it's always right between 5 and 6%, tax-free again. So even if your bank was giving you 5%, which, even a high yield savings account, I think they're capped out right around 3.5, maybe 4% now, but those seem to be going down a little bit. But you have to pay taxes on that money every single year, right? So if you're getting 3.5, 4%, well, guess what? You have to pay taxes on that. Depending on your tax bracket, you can take off 1.5% for sure. So getting guaranteed 5 or 6% every single year tax-free is really like getting maybe 8 or 9% somewhere else. Okay, so obviously a really good return. Uninterrupted compounding. Okay, so your cash grows at the same time that you're using the value of that money to pay off debt or make a major purchase. Again, this is the only financial vehicle that allows you to do that. Okay, so really cool deal there. Creditor protection. This is really big I work with a lot of real estate investors, small business owners, and there's that having your money stored up in a life insurance policy like this. It's really hard for creditors to get to. So if those business owners, whatever, got sued for whatever reason or whatever it may be, in most states, there's a lot of protection there, which is a big deal for a lot of people, right? And then legacy and liquidity. Your death benefit passes on to your family tax-free, which is a key thing. And we're going to talk about that in later webinars. I believe that we save our whole life really for two buckets. One bucket is for retirement income, and the other bucket is legacy money. Really, that's what it comes down to. And using these type of products can really maximize both of those buckets way more than just keeping your money in the market, and we'll show you that as well. So that's it. So I'm going to run you through a little cycle here. So basically how it works is when someone starts one of these accounts, your premium payment goes into the infinite bank model, right? Which is it's called the infinite banking concept, right? So the money goes in, right? Your cash, which goes towards cash value and insurance. So a portion of that premium goes to the insurance, which is basically you're buying the engine to allow all this to happen. You're getting this tax favorable machine, you're getting this death benefit, God forbid something happens to you, or you want to just pass on legacy with that money, legacy money. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you can borrow again against the value of your own money. So think how important that is. So having money, most people keep their money in two major places, right? So usually their 401k or IRA in the stock market, which you technically aren't supposed to touch your 59.5, or you're going to pay government penalties and taxes. So technically that's not liquid, right? So that's a big key here, right? With these products is liquidity. So that's number one. And your house, right? People have hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars tied up in their personal residence or investment properties. Well, think about this. If you lost your job, right, and you needed access to cash, and those are the bulk of your money is in those two places, well, A, you're going to have to pay penalties and taxes to access your retirement account, and B, there's no bank that's going to give you a home equity line of credit if you have no job, right? So that's a scary spot to be in. So what's great about this, again, is liquidity, no questions asked. Based on the value of your account, you can access that whenever you need it. Okay, so no qualification. So that's really, really key. So that's that part. Part 4 is repayment to the bank. So in my example, which I have a video on YouTube that goes over exactly how I did it, the numbers and everything, but the loan through GM when I bought that vehicle was 7.8%, right? And then I turned around and paid it off. Well, I'm paying myself back to my policy, and I'm netting a positive interest rate. So I'm basically, it's better than a wash loan, right? It's because I'm actually making money on that. So, and again, we'll go into detail here in a bit about that. So repayment back to your own bank. So you become your own bank, as it says up here. And that cash value continues to grow, right? So think about this. So if you had, $10,000 sitting in this account, or in a savings account, and you used 5,000 of it, that 5,000 is now gone, not gaining interest. In this type of an account or insurance policy, your 10,000 keeps growing even though you're using the 5,000 to say pay off debt or make a major purchase or whatever. That's where the term at the very start here says use every dollar twice, right? So basically it's just this cycle of money. You're just using this account to, for monthly bills, you're just having them go in there, pay them off, and it pays them off in a fraction of the time. Okay. So the infinite banking concept, this is nothing new, right? So, and again, it might be new. This might be your first time hearing about it, but the Rockefellers are pretty much the first family that coined this whole concept. They were the first billionaires in the United States. And still to this day, this is how they build, secure, and transfer wealth to the next generation. They use this exact concept, right? Walt Disney, he actually used his whole life insurance policy. He couldn't get traditional financing to build Disney, so he borrowed against his own money to do that. Same thing with Ray Kroc to franchise McDonald's, right? And then later on, nowadays, right? So we got basketball legend, Magic Johnson. We've gotten the majority of Congress, Warren Buffett, right? So we have a lot of people that very influential people that use that. But now we get to use it. You and I get to use it because of our incredible tools. Okay, so our proprietary software is called Debt Free Life. So what Debt Free Life is it's this software system that makes infinite banking a reality. Because what I just explained to you, it's probably over a lot of people's head, right? It's kind of confusing at first for sure, right? So, but making it a reality is really the key thing. And we're the only company that I know of that has proprietary software that puts infinite banking to work. And we basically work with you like coaching to make sure that you're on track and doing exactly what it's designed to do. And I'm going to show you a couple examples here in just a second. So basically how it works is we bring it to life with the software, and I'm going to show you a couple reports here. So this is client number one. This is a client I just worked with in the last couple months. This shows a breakdown of all of their debt. So you can see the bank name, the balance that's owed, the interest rate, their minimum monthly payment, and their current monthly payment, okay? You can see if they just paid everything according to schedule, which most people do that, where everybody's kind of in this constant debt cycle, well, it would take them 30 years to pay all of it off in their mortgage. They're in their early 40s. That would put them into their 70s before they would pay everything off if they just paid everything according to schedule. So that we plug that into the software first. Then it shows us this. This is really an eye-opener for so many people, right? Their debt is $921,000, as you can see here on the left. Their scheduled interest is $679,000, okay? So that means their real debt on paper is $1.6 million. Okay, you can see how it's broken down between consumer and mortgage debt, right? So again, our system creates this really cool report and has about 6-7 pages that breaks all this down. But then what it does is says, okay, how are we gonna eliminate this? So first of all, we looked at all of their debts and we realized they had about $1,000 extra a month that was going towards overpayments and their savings account getting no interest, right? So not that much. Again, this is quite a bit of debt here, right? So over about $9,000 a month in payments, but $1,000 of it they weren't really utilizing, right? So they're paying maybe $50 or $100 over on each debt. So we redirected that $1,000 into their new infinite bank model, right? So we took that $1,000. What's it going to do over time? It's going to save them over $220,000 in scheduled interest. They'll be debt-free in 11 years and 8 months. As you can see at the bottom, the report tells us exactly every month that it's going to be paid off. Our team, we have a team at corporate that literally reaches out to our clients every time they're ready to pay off their piece of debt. Again, making infinite banking a reality because we're walking them through that entire process. We're on a mission to help 1 million people eliminate their debt. So, and then right here, 224,000 saved in interest. Okay. And then after they're debt free in 11 years, in 20 years, because that money that they can keep piling in there would be worth about $1.1 million tax free that they can now use for a retirement plan. So, I mean, it's just mind blowing. Every time I show someone this, it's like sometimes hard for them to get it. And then once they get it, they're like, oh my gosh, I just can't even imagine, right? So most people think they're going to be working and paying debt to the day they die, right? So really, really cool plan. So there's 2 phases to it, right? Phase 1 is paying off the debt, typically in 8 to 12 years is kind of the range, right? And then after that, it turns into one of your retirement buckets, right? And again, it's tax-free. So look at another client here. Okay, so right here, client number 2, same thing, bunch of credit cards, HELOC loan, mortgage, 530,000 there. Again, $30,000 paid off. It's a brand new mortgage, so makes sense, right? So again, following that schedule, they would take 30 years to pay that off. It's going to show right here again the debt. So check this out: $530,000 in principal, $745,000 in scheduled interest. That's double what the amount of the principal is, right? So look at the red line here, just crazy. And most people that I see are in a very similar situation there. So this family actually had a little bit more. They had about $1,500 above and beyond their $4,800 in minimum payments, right? So that we can redirect to this, or wasn't getting good, get good returns sitting in a savings account, which getting maybe 1%, or like I said, if it's a high yield, if you're lucky, maybe getting 3%, but 5 to 6% tax free is obviously much better, right? So redirecting that $1,500, it's going to save them over $370,000 in interest. They're going to be debt free in 12 years instead of 30, and their projected retirement in 20 years is $687,000. Okay, so these are real reports with real clients that we just recently helped, and we do this every single day across the country. And it's a really good plan. Obviously, who this is not for: number one, people that don't have much debt. If you only have a mortgage, this plan's okay. We have other plans that would be better for you than just that, right? But if you have 4 or 5 pieces of debt or more, it's incredible how this works, okay? Or this also doesn't work if someone's, unfortunately, and I get this a lot. I had this today, that I had some people that had quite a bit of debt like this, but they didn't have any extra. They were living kind of paycheck to paycheck. They were just getting by and paying the minimums. Obviously, this program doesn't work because we need to have some money to redirect to the plan to actually to start the process and get the infinite banking model going. So those are 2 live reports in how it works, the key benefits of it, right? And how our system, our team, our training can help you eliminate debt really quick. So now what's the next step? So I'm a little over 30 minutes, so perfect timing. So our approach, we want to make financial retirement planning simple, right? So we have incredible tools to help you stay on track, okay? And simple tools, right? So which is key. A net worth tracker, we have a monthly budgeting tools, retirement income calculators, because we're going to show you exactly how to really hit those goals, right? And why does this matter? Most people avoid their finances, again, hoping their 401k and government support will be enough, which we're seeing. And it's getting worse because, again, pensions are gradually getting less and less. It's getting worse and worse, unfortunately, right? So here's an example of what our dashboard looks like. The cool thing is it's not some fancy software. It's actually pretty fancy, but it's in Google, which is nice. So our clients have access to this, right? So they can see, they can plug in their numbers. It's something you can literally spend 5 minutes a week or maybe a month on, just to stay in front and in control of your finances and make sure you're on track, right? So really cool, and it's never been easier to track where you're at. And as I mentioned earlier, whatever you measure increases, right? So measuring and staying on top of it, it's going to be more top of mind. So you're going to make different decisions, right? So we want to make it as easy as possible for our clients with our tracking tools. And we don't charge for this. I know a lot of financial advisors and planners, even our certified financial advisors on the money management team, they don't charge an upfront fee. Obviously, they charge a management fee to manage your money in the market, but there's no upfront fee to us to set the plan, to set up these insurance products. We actually get paid directly through the insurance company, so you never pay myself or any of my agents a dime, okay? So next steps, you guys, is we want to help you take control of your financial future. We're going to go over some great stuff over the webinar series. Again, we want to do this most likely every 2 weeks, and we'll see how long this goes. We got a lot of content to get through, and we really want to just help people in these different areas and see what works and doesn't work. Again, if debt isn't a big concern of yours, obviously this wasn't maybe super important for you, but you might know somebody, friends, family, coworkers that are in those situations that can benefit from that. And obviously we would love to help them. So the next step is we're going to send out an email, okay, to everybody that registered, that's going to have a link on there to book an appointment with us. And again, that first appointment, we're going to plug everything in that network tracker, see where it's at, see where your retirement plan looks like today, and see if there's any areas me and our team can help you with. So we appreciate your time. I hope you found some value in this informational webinar, and have a great night.